this could be. I haven't seen my Super Nintendo since 2003. That's alright, I don't mind. I've got a Switch in the old SwitchAroo. My friend Mike and Jaymo too.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Old SwitchAroo, where we're talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jaymo. Play along on our epic quest to research and review all 250 plus games in the Nintendo Classics catalog. Today we are clearing a path for 1997's Blast Core on the Nintendo 64 in an episode we are calling I've Heard of a Crash Course, but this is ridiculous. Now, Mike, I'm trying to tease the audience a little here. I'm trying to generate some excitement, but today I think you brought a bona fide expert in building hype and breaking down trailers. Would you like to introduce him?
So I'm always enjoying getting to bring on people who have actually supported us and acknowledged that we exist in the past. And a great one for that from Trailer Boys is Nate, as well as on Twitch as Nate Blackest. Nate, do you want to describe sort of what it is you do?
Yay! Yeah, my brother, that's pretty much it, is my brother, my claim to any notoriety would be like my brother is Sam Brown of The Whitest Kids You Know. And during COVID, that's a sketch comedy show from like 20 years ago now almost. But during COVID, they wanted to do stuff. Everyone was locked down and bored. Trevor started doing stuff on YouTube, and then they're like, we should do live stuff on Twitch. And then that's when I got involved helping them out do that stuff. You know, we had a bunch of great live Twitch shows almost every day of the week. And then Sam and I started one called Trailer Boys, which was it's still going. It's a Sunday night show. And we kind of turned it into a game show where we have a theme. People submit trailers to the website, which is miseryloves.us. That'll show you all the details of when the theme is and when the next show is. And then we will pick the trailers, not really at random, but Sam really picks the trailers out. And then we kind of vote on them, and the audience votes on them live. And then we give out points, and then there's a season where whoever hits 100 points first, the season ends. So it's pretty fun with some of the odd themes we've done and some of the wild trailers of movies people have found, because it's always fun to see something that's like, I've never heard of this, you know, like, and then trailers are great because they're non-committal, you know, it's like 3 minutes of your life, you know. It's going to be tough to be like, hey, I found this movie. It could be complete garbage. We should watch it. And you have to commit like 2 hours? No way. So that's what we do, and that's on the official Whitest Kids Twitch channel, which is, I think it's official WKUK or WKUK official.
Official WKUK.
Official, yeah, I should know that. But yeah, we do that every Sunday around 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, because my brother is in Pacific time. And then I do my own Twitch show, kind of like supplementary content to that show, called Mid Hunters, more or less. I don't really call the show Mid Hunters. It's just like the act of mid hunting, which is like searching for these like mid tier movies that like you know aren't that just are forgotten about and won't leave really an impression. Like you'll forget you're seeing the movie. Sometimes we'll watch a movie and I'll remember I've seen the movie like at the third act and be like, wait a minute, like so it's that kind of stuff. It's just it's silliness pretty much, you know.
Love that concept.
Yeah, well, there's movie clubs, right, where people will watch like good movie, like film clubs, and then there's like jokey, let's watch only bad stuff and tear it apart, and that's fun too. This is more like middle range stuff that, like, you know, we're not finding stuff from other people. You know, most of the time it's not like, um, you know, a lot of stuff you'll see on bad movie podcasts and people are like, let's watch that. We're kind of finding our own stuff because the majority of things on like a bell curve are going to be in that middle of the road stuff there. So we do find things that I'm like, I think we're probably the only people that have watched this since it came out, that kind of stuff. So it's pretty fun.
I love that. I think the genius of focusing on the middle of the pack is that it's like Was this a bad movie that by happy accident or had one really good idea and now it's actually kind of interesting? Or you could be like, this movie could have been great and what kind of held it back. So Mike, you've been on the Trailer Boys leaderboard a couple of times.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
I hold a very strong position at the very bottom of that leaderboard.
but still
top
on the
10.
leaderboard.
Yeah,
Yeah. Still there.
What trailers have you submitted?
there has been a lot. I mean, obviously, I think part of it is there's definitely been several that like I've had to edit so that they can show them on Twitch.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've had to censor it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Vampire Hookers, that was one of the ones that was a lot of censoring, but it has such a great theme song.
Okay, if you're my student and you've discovered the podcast, he said that. I didn't. Okay. That that's the thing. Well, you know what, Nate, before we get to Blastcore, I don't like you just saying, "Oh, like I'm just known because of Sam," because I was watching one of your older episodes, your fast cars themed trailer competition. It was like as close as I could get to Blastcore, and Sam was trying to remember all the Fast and Furious titles, and you jokingly suggested Dark of the Moon and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. And I was like, wait, did Nate just discover like a chocolate and peanut butter combination? How have we not had a Fast and Furious style movie with Transformers? Like,
It would make so
right?
much sense. Yeah.
It's too good. It's too
Yeah.
good. It makes too much sense.
That's a layup.
Universal does own both of those, right?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, they've got rides for both of them.
all right. Add that to my Fast and Furious predictions. I think that the final Fast and Furious movie is going to be Fast XXX, and it's going to have Vin Diesel's character from X Triple X. And now I think they're going to get Transformers in there as a post-credit scene. But anyway, Mike, stay on topic here. I think it's time to get moving. Are you guys ready to talk about some video game demo? Video game demo? No, no,
No.
no.
Demo.
Yeah, well, let's move on to Blast Core, released for the Nintendo 64 in 1997. As described on Nintendo Classics, emergency! Blast Core mobilize! In this action game released for the Nintendo 64 console in 1997, you take on the work of the Blast Corps, the leaders in the field of heavy-duty demolition, known for their skill, experience, and cutting-edge technology. A carrier hauling a pair of defective nuclear missiles has gone off route, on its way to a safe detonation site. You must clear the way to avoid catastrophe. Each of the machines available to the Blast Corps is unique and powerful. With more than 8 vehicles ranging from a bulldozer to a giant flying mecha, each stage will ask something different and may require you to switch machines in the middle of the level, or even operate trains or cranes. Time to get moving.
Who says more than 8 vehicles?
What?
It's weird to say more than 8 vehicles and use like that precise of a number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it
You're not even in
nine?
double
Is nine
digits.
the
Yes.
number?
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it
Just say
9?
nine.
Just say more than 10 would sound normal.
Yeah. It's like you're talking about this game on the schoolyard. How many vehicles are in the game? More than 8. Okay. Oh, good. Well, box art was often people's first impression. So in North American box here, we got the street level view of the action. You've got the backlash dump truck crashing through a building toward the customer. The ballista motorcycle is launching a volley of missiles also towards the customer. The J-bomb flying mech is shooting a come hither look at, you guessed it, the customer. And behind all this is the nuclear carrier approaches from the background. Nate, you're something of an expert on marketing here. What's your take on the box art?
I loved it. I mean, it's so intense. And like I remember when this came out, we got it. It was there were no recognizable characters. It wasn't coming from an established IP. And it was like 3D looking. Like you could see you could kind of tell like you were going to get this 3D game, because N64 was like that dawn of that whole thing. So I remember seeing this and being like, what is this? Like it's very curious right off the bat.
And the motion implied is really dynamic. You got the bricks flying, the missile trails. If you even look the building they're breaking through, it looks like it's kind of tilting and falling over. Like I love this, and we've also seen this on the Ocarina of Time box, where it's like they're kind of showing off 3D now. Japanese box art quite different, Mike. What's your take on it?
This is a lot closer to just that, like, just put all the things on the poster and call it a day. So you've got all the vehicles on there, but there's no sense of like a scene to it.
No. They're kind of all centered around the logo "Blast 'em all," which kind of misleading. That to me implies you're going to be, fighting enemies and trying to blast all the enemies. And then the title, Blastdozer, kind of implies the bulldozer is going to be kind of the thing. No? Just me?
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know. This feels vaguely like I expect this to be like a Starship Troopers tie-in with Blast 'em all like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this game is decidedly non-violent.
I don't know if I'd say this is decidedly non-violent.
Well, I mean, you're blowing up empty buildings. No one gets hurt unless you lose.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Everyone runs out of the buildings when you blow up the buildings, so you see them running.
That is kind of crazy. Like part of the game is saving survivors. And how do you save survivors? Blow up the building they're in. What?
Is that not how it's normally done?
That's how it works. Like, I think a couple places in the world trying that right now, actually. Well, speaking around the world here, this game was produced by the Stamper brothers, Chris and Tim, in addition to co-founding Rare Entertainment. We will meet them again when we cover the sci-fi adventure Jet Force Gemini for the N64. So I got some knowledge's Nintendo Power trivia for y'all. As Rare's first title for the N64, Blast Corps received universal acclaim according to Metacritic.com, despite being considered a commercial disappointment, failing to move even 1 million copies, but more than 8, Mike. So that's good. The game has a number of fun hidden vehicles that are all nods to American television. You can find the Grand Torino from what show, guys?
Oh, it's the cop show Starsky and Hutch.
Starsky and Hutch. Well done. You can unlock the van from what, Mike?
Oh, the A-Team van.
The A-Team van.
All right, that's why I went for that.
Did you press the horn while you were driving the van?
No, I did not.
There's a Mr. T sound alike that goes, out of my way.
Out of my way.
I couldn't. I'm like, what is it? Just gonna be Behave Baracus? It's like apparently yes.
Yeah. You know they wanted it to be I Pity the Fool, though, and they're like, we can't. And then the last one is the All-American, which is not a famous design, but if you press the horn, it plays Dixie. So Nate, what show would that be?
Yeah, it's Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard,
In
yeah.
my memory, when I went back, I was like, oh yeah, the General Lee is in the game. And I'm like, it's not.
I was wondering though, like in my memory it was too, but like it's kind of obvious, if you know the Dukes of Hazzard's car, it has the Confederate flag painted on the top. So not hard to imagine why they'd want to change the look of it and have it be an American flag instead.
But in like 97.
Yeah, I was like honestly, I'm surprised because nothing else has gotten that memo.
Right.
Rare being woke in 97.
Yeah.
Oh
There's a
man.
place in Nashville. It's a museum to Dukes of Hazzard called Cooters Nashville, and so many Confederate flags.
Some might say too many.
Yeah,
Maybe one.
Where are the brothers that started Rare? Where are they from?
The UK.
Oh, okay. So maybe it means something different to them, the Confederate flag. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I was surprised though, because I mean, even the horn, that's what I was like, oh yeah, maybe it's not this, but yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. So, a design choice that was definitely not intentional was the decision to give the Thunder Fist mech only one arm. According to a 2009 interview for NowGamer.com, the developers literally ran out of memory on the cartridge and could not fit the polygonal model for Thunder Fist's second arm. But according to Martin Wakely, the happy accident ended up making the character a lot more memorable, so they were ultimately happy with the exclusion.
Crazy.
Isn't that funny?
That's sick. That is really cool, like trivia on this, because I thought it was funny.
And it's interesting too, because like you look at Thunderfist, there's actually little wires, almost implying that it lost the arm. But I just kind of love that because to me that is a much more iconic design. I don't know if I would remember it so vividly if it had both its arms.
that's also just impressive. Like that can't be that much memory. Like,
Yeah,
you have a lot of things in this game that you could have cut.
yeah.
Like, they kept the Mr. T sound alike in exchange for an arm.
I mean, didn't cost an arm and a leg, just an arm.
Go choose your battles.
Yeah, yeah. Pick your poison. So before we get into the joy pros and joy cons of Blast Corps, what is our history with this game and how far did we get? So Nate, can you kind of tell us why you picked it and what your history of the game is?
Yeah, you know, I saw Blast. I went right to Blast, and I was like, oh, Blaster Master. was one of my favorite games as a kid on the NES, and then Blast Corps was right there. And I dipped into Blaster Master, and that game was hard as shit. So I abandoned that so quickly and went right to Blast Corps. And I was like, yes, like it clicked. And I got back into it. Uh, I remember skipping school. I was in high school, and I skipped school with a friend of mine, and we went to the mall, and it just so happened to be the same day that the 64 came out, and we didn't even know, like it was just I don't think we really knew it was coming out that day, but then we went all over the place looking for them because they only had one and we both wanted one. And so we went to all these places. And so it was at a time when, like, I think this is in like the first year of like the 64 coming out, where like you would be buying the game that came out every, it was like, games weren't flying in, like they were coming in on like a trickle. So when this game came out, it was like a no-brainer kind of thing. It was like, oh, this is the game that's out now. I can't even remember if anything else came out around the same time, but like this game came out and it was like, oh, here's the new 64 game, and we picked it up, and my brother and I uh really dug this game. And it's like, as little kids, as like I think back and like playing games, I'm like, I don't think I really beat a lot of games, and revisiting them, I don't think I got too far in a lot of games, but this one I remember like actually having, put some significant progress in originally back in 97. So playing it now is like, I'm gonna beat this game.
Did you?
And I did not. I got close. I got two levels from full completion, right?
Okay.
And I was frustrated, and I was like, man, I can't beat these levels. And then I watched a YouTube tutorial of like how to beat the levels, and I was like, no way. Am I able to do this? I tried. I put some serious effort into it, but like one of them, the last two levels are so hard, and they're long, and like you really have to one of them was just like, it was a vehicle I wasn't very good with, and then the other one, just there was so much going on with it. I don't know if you guys got that far in it, but you had so many things to do with boats. You had to change the vehicles a lot. You had to shoot things in rockets, and you had to get it down quick. So no, I did not beat it.
This is probably the closest thing trains, planes, and automobiles will ever get to a game. Like
For
you do have to juggle a lot of vehicles there, and you never beat it as a child.
No, I don't even know how far I got. A child is a loose. I was probably like 16.
That's a child. That's a
Yeah, yeah,
child.
yeah,
You can't be charged as an adult usually.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
there you
child.
go. Mike, you didn't get very far, I'm feeling from how you were talking before recording.
No. So this is a game that I had never heard of this game, and on paper it had, let me say, all the things that make it sound like a game I'm going to enjoy, and which is mostly vehicles and destroying things with vehicles. Just in terms of other, like, destroying buildings and having vehicles tend to be two strong spots in games for me. However, I really felt like I was struggling with this. So after 3 days of playing, I finally tried to figure out where I was in game progression. And I was like one or two levels away from having beaten all of the medium level things. And then I went like, okay, if this is where I am now, I am not going to see the end of this game.
Well, by some creative use of save states, as in like I would start a level, I would do the first part well, I would create a save state, and then if I make a mistake, I could restart halfway through a level. After 10 hours and a lot of save states, I Nintendo did beat Blast Core. And I'm glad I did, because I got to see some pretty cool levels towards the end. So Nate, have you not seen the end game and the bonus levels that kind of come up? Because it's pretty interesting.
No, I mean, I've played, some bonus level races kind of come up through the thing. You like navigating the map is a pain. It's unnecessarily difficult to get through, and you don't know. It's not like a linear progression, but there are bottlenecks to get from like easy to medium. It all kind of convenes. It's like a weird spider web of a globe of things. And so they don't really give you a key of what the different symbols really mean necessarily. So it was hard for me to just navigate and find things. And then, I, as far as I got, there were only two levels I couldn't beat. And then I don't know what was after that. I think it was I had one professor to rescue. I mean, the funny thing to me was like the whole thing. I was like, I restarted halfway through too because I was like, I think I missed the story in the beginning. There's something I missed. I went through and I'm like, no, you don't really get a lot of story. So I guess the story's on the box cover and that's it. Because then there's like professors you have to rescue or find. They're like hermits somewhere, which I really like the exploration part of it. Like each map has two functions. You're clearing stuff out of the way for this truck that has nukes, right? To get to the end thing.
Yeah, that's the main gameplay loop.
Yeah, so you go through that and then it's like you hit the level again to unlock all these other parts and take all the buildings down and do all the collectibles. So I liked that second part of every map better. And then I'm not really good at racing games, but the way this was in kind of a locked angle third person view, it kind of felt more like RC racers or RC Pro Am. Remember that kind of game?
Oh yeah.
I really like that. So doing the races in that kind of level was really cool. I really found it a lot easier to do the races in that. Yeah. And it was interesting that you get to choose the cars for the races too, because obviously it's like half of them aren't viable to like, get a gold medal in it.
You want to race in the bulldozer?
Yeah, exactly. I tried it once. I was like, can I do this? But no, I can't. But yeah, no, the last two I got, it was, oh man, I forget the name of the level, but it was like you had to take the motorcycle, missile a bunch of things at a shipyard. Then you had to like run down, get the bulldozer. Then you had to start pushing all these puzzle piece blocks to drop into the ground, right? And then the puzzle piece blocks also, that was kind of a trap too, because there would be multiples that would fit in certain places. So if you'd put one down and didn't go to get the secret one behind somewhere else, you'd be in trouble. And then after that, it was like you had to move some boats, and then you had to move boats back and forth. It was crazy. I was like, this is intense. Like when I finally saw it being done on a YouTube video, I was like, no, that's when I like threw in the towel. And then the other one was just a vehicle I was really, really bad at. And the whole level was just that vehicle over and over again. And I just couldn't get the mechanic. I was really rough at that one. So those are the two that kind of ended it for me.
Yeah. For those who haven't tried the game, the basic premise, like he said, is that this big rig with nukes on it is slowly going in a straight line. And your goal is to clear a path for it. You have to destroy the buildings or move ferries to create little bridges. Your job is to make sure that that thing doesn't crash. And I guess when they were originally developing it, they just at first toyed with just a timer and like destroy the buildings within a time, kind of like the game Rampage. But I think it's genius to make it like an actual physical thing.
Yeah.
Because first of all, this game authentically creates these really nail-biting moments where you are threading the needle between the approaching carrier and a building up ahead, and you need to get in between them so you can destroy the building and then get out of the way before the carrier hits you. And it's just like,
Because that ends it too. Yeah.
yeah, that ends it too.
If you hit the truck, it's over. And I've done that.
Right. Or smack it with a missile.
I was gonna say it creates a different ending in my games where I'm like, okay, fine. If I'm losing on my terms and just plowing into that sucker.
Just a quick restart.
Yeah, or just seeing like, no, you're not hitting that building. I'm hitting you.
That feels way too real in the nuclear apocalypse. Mike's like, you know what? Let's just end this already. Like,
I kept thinking it's going slow enough. Why can't somebody just jump in the truck? Like I remember switching guys because you can actually get out of your vehicles and you're like the little guy, which I thought was like really cool too. And I was like trying to run. Like, can I just get in the truck and stop the truck? No, it doesn't work like that.
Did that count as a collision to blow it up?
no.
Yes.
Okay.
No, the guy doesn't blow it up. If you touch the carrier as the man.
From the front, if you hit the front and you block it, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant if you try to enter the side.
Yeah, if you enter the side, it doesn't do anything.
It would have been hilarious if you could just drive the carrier and just hit the brakes.
Like, oh, that was easy.
Nobody tried it.
Yeah, there were some hard ones with like cranes and stuff too. We had to like drop blocks on the cranes, and I mean, there was one where it was a train, I think, and you had to go on either side of the train tracks, blowing up the buildings. That was like the hard those it was those two. It was like blowing up because you had to go on either side of the tracks. You can't drive over the train tracks. So it's like you have to destroy a bunch on one side of the train tracks, then hurry, get underneath the tunnel to go back and destroy the other side. And then you do it 3 times in a row. And I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, so it's those two levels. I don't even know, like the lady in the corner that tells you what to do. Did she have a character name? Yeah, like I didn't understand a lot of the story.
Mike, you read the booklet.
Actually, the booklet was very light on this. It was actually kind of weird to realize that, like, so I think at the start of the game, like, if you just don't hit start, it auto plays through, basically giving you all the text in the manual as well as giving you vehicle info. And then a lot of it is actually just communicated in like the start of each level. We'll just do like scrolling text. And I think this may be one of the only games that we've covered on here that really heavily was like in-game information,
Yeah.
especially to the exclusion of the manual.
But so the other thing I really like about the carrier, the concept of the carrier, is that like routinely a level will start and you get this really dynamic camera angle of where you're starting, and off in the distance you can see way down there at the bottom of the canyon, there's the carrier. And so it's like, okay, in this level, I have to get to ground zero. That's the first challenge, is navigate your way to the path of the carrier. And then, of course, if you guys like look at the screenshot, there's little collectibles on the ground. So even that far away shot is an accessible area. The game felt really expansive, and that's why I completely agree with Nate that like the the real fun of the game is revisiting levels once you've already cleared a path. Now there's no timer. Explore and find all the little nooks and crannies and hidden vehicles and collectibles, and uh, I to me that's where the game really opened up. So I'm
Wait,
really
so,
glad you brought that up.
so when you go back, there's no carrier, there's just explore.
It's just yeah,
Yeah.
there's no timer.
I didn't I didn't know that. I
I
thought
told you that.
Disappointed.
you you mentioned that. I thought it would just be if I went back after the carrier was done, it wouldn't end the level, but I'd still have to deal with the carrier.
No, no, you get to go back to the town or what's left of it with no timer whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's where like the crazy, like innovative stuff that I'd be like, I can't believe I just remember marveling at it, being like, this level of just puzzles in like a 3D game like this for this era was really surprising to me. Like some of the things I'm like, dang, like it took me a while to figure out some of the odd puzzles. There were like underwater tunnels and things, and very, very cool stuff that like was just really interesting to me.
Yeah, the underwater tunnel is where you find the Starsky and Hutch vehicle.
I do love though that like at certain point, like one of the collectibles is just like a light on the ground that you drive over and it lights up.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that like it seems like they were like, oh, we just gotta throw a bunch in, and they would just put a grid on a field. Like
Yeah.
they just put them all together like in one block. So you're like, all right, they were just like, oh, we have 20 more to do. Let's just put them all together.
It's funny because like you're trying to 100% the game to unlock some of the bonus levels, and you're like, I'm missing 20. Oh, they stuck them all over here.
Yeah, they're just in the corner all together. Like that was the funniest part, is like seeing like going back in trying to unlock all the cars and stuff was, that's what I found the most fun of the game, and all like the secret levels with like the races and unlocking cars was really neat too. Um but yeah, man, Mike, you didn't go back.
I
You got to go back.
I thought I was going to have to go through that stuff again, deal with that thing again. I was like, that was a pain. I did
Yeah.
not realize that was gone.
See, I
Yeah.
went through and 100% at every level before moving to like the next level, so I was kind of like burning it out one at a time. Like some of them I would just stare at and be like, I've been all over this, because you can't really change the camera angle too. You can kind of do it. I kept hitting the wrong button sometimes and you get like a weird view, but just the exploration part was, I thought it'd be so easy. I'm like, this was so early days. It's going to be so rudimentary compared to like all the stuff that we have to do now, but it was still like pretty smart.
So as a kid, did you discover some of the fun, like kind of Easter eggy levels? I was having Mike before we recorded. There's a Pac-Man level where, these ghost tractors are trying to hunt you down while you collect all the little things.
No.
You never tried this? It's really neat.
I never saw. So was this on the map or is this?
So if you have time after recording, we'll do a quick multiplayer session because
Sure.
I can load my game and pass you the controller digitally to Massachusetts. So you can just
Cool.
take over from wherever I left off. It's pretty neat. And then there's also this floor is lava level where you're literally in a volcano and you have to break these targets without touching the lava. You mentioned the little race levels. Nate, did you ever notice in the bottom right-hand corner, you said it feels like you're racing an RC car. They literally have an RC controller
No
flashing on
way.
the screen. Yeah.
Hilarious.
That was exactly what they wanted it to feel like. They wanted you to feel like you were standing over like a little diorama or a little RC, racetrack. And then you also have the one where you play pool with the TNT crates, which is kind of wacky. And it starts with what 7 note progression, Mike?
The Minsky pickup.
The Minsky Pickup, out season 1, episode 7, true believers. Go listen to our Kirby episode for the seedy backstory about those 7 notes. Nay, is a dun 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 dun. You've heard that before. We've all heard that
Yeah,
before. Yeah, it has a pretty seedy backstory we covered back in season 1. So
Ooh.
when it popped up in here, I really popped off. Speaking of music though, Nate, can you talk on the Blastcore music? Because it's cool.
Oh yeah, I love the music, and it's like one of those things where there's not a lot of variation in the music. You're hearing the same song every level pretty much, and I so you have to have a good tune because you're going to be listening to it. It's going to drive you insane. So if it's bad, you're gonna be like, this is rough. But it was just like a little fun poppy thing, and I it had like vocals in it. Like I think it was like "Time to Get Moving."
Time to get moving.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I loved it. I was like, yeah, playing it, jamming out. It was really good. I remember it was something that I noticed. Like a lot of times, like you'll play the games, you not really notice the music or whatever. They don't stand out. This specifically, I was like, oh man, I like this tune. And I like hear it, when I play. Time to get moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like, I think in my head, I was like, oh, that's the character in the corner of the screen on the TV saying that. But I guess when I'm putting it together, I'm like, I guess it doesn't have to be her. It's just part of the song. But
I think it is a remix of her voice though.
yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's just her voice because she will say "time to get moving" at the start of levels, and I think they just pitched it up to make the dance remix. It is so catchy though. I love it. It's kind of jug band style. You got banjos and accordions and Jew's harps. And hey, don't evoke my tax exempt status, okay? Jew's harp is an actual instrument in this game. Look it up, everybody. But like, it's very like kind of southern twangy and down 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 down, and it's so good. I love it. Mike,
You
like
just call that
music?
a mouth harp and avoid problems, right?
I mean, I guess you could cut this part out if we have to, but now you made it weird, Mike. Oh, actually, I think I made it weird. Mike,
Yeah.
music, like it? You also like it?
Honestly, I didn't notice the music so much, but that also I'm now wondering if I was just like exploring stuff at leisure and had music going with it, that's very different from me being increasingly frustrated.
Oh yeah, like those clear the way parts are so frustrating and like anxiety inducing. So like going back at like a leisurely pace is like that's when I fell in love with the game. Um, but yeah, like there would be some levels that I know I played for like an hour just looking for stuff, and you really hear the music.
And look at the game. Like I love this era of Nintendo 64 graphics where everything is kind of shiny and they're showing off that they can do reflections for the first time and everything felt like this like micro machine toy I really wanted to play with. The draw distance really impressive. You can see across the whole level. There's no fog. The verticality when you get into some of the flying vehicles, you go really high up there to the point that like you're seeing clouds pass you and the wind is hissing by and it's like this is really immersive. I don't know, but I also kind of think that some people would say the game hasn't aged well because like the little sprite of the man when you get out of the vehicle, he's got no expressions. He's just like 8 polygons. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a bit rough, but like I like at the time too. I think this was a big flex, like a
Mhm.
lot of like they're like we're doing 3D now, baby. Looking back at it, you're like, oh, everything is so low poly, that it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still like for the time it was like blowing minds. But I mean, the funny thing to me is a lot of the games I go back and play, and it's like the mechanics don't feel good. This the it looked kind of dated, but the mechanics were still great.
Yeah, especially when they work.
Yeah.
When they don't, that's quite frustrating.
Yeah, the mechanics on most of the vehicles.
Yeah. Well, before I get away from it, I have one little bit of Easter egg about the music. You might recognize the tune. It's either pronounced. How would you guys pronounce this? Skerries. Is that Scaries or Scurries?
Skrillex?
Skrillex. So there's a tune in Blast Corps that is a note-for-note remix from Donkey Kong Land. That's because Graham Norgate worked on both games. So we'll put a link to the audio comparison in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out. I think this game's best levels are actually in its end game and kind of post game content. Because spoilers for Blast Corps, but once you clear a path for the carrier, and all the main game levels are done. Now, like Nate said, you need to find these 6 scientists who are hiding in the levels you've already visited. And I never found a single one before it was time to look for them. Like they're really well hidden. And then they control the detonation. And you go, okay, the detonation has happened safely, game over. But then the game throws you this crazy curveball where now, out of nowhere, a space shuttle needs to land. And so you need to destroy a city to create a runway for the space shuttle. But if you don't, the space shuttle just crashes into the ocean. And you get this funny message, ditching in the sea. And then I'm like, isn't that better than destroying a whole city? If it could crash in the water, why would you destroy a whole city? Is
I
it just
love it.
me?
No, it makes a lot of sense. I love it.
But if you do clear a runway for the emergency landing of the space shuttle, you're treated to a cutscene of a different space shuttle, I guess, going off into space, and then you get to access the moon. And the moon is an anti-gravity level where, for the first time, you can freely control the camera in full 360-degree movement.
It's not anti-gravity.
It is low gravity. Good point.
Yeah.
But Mike, you got to play this one. Did you like the moon level?
It's 4 shadows points. I think it may be the only time that I found the dump truck to be mostly playable. It is fascinating in that I want to know how this is coded, but like, because you can get serious, it's not quite airtime on the moon, I guess.
On the moon?
Serious time off the ground. And if you start turning after you've become spaceborne, you can turn. I made a U-turn off of the ground, which is so far from how any physics should ever work
Right.
that I actually don't know how this is coded to allow that.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, but kind of fun. I don't know, maybe Nate can try it after.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it's super dope. And Mike mentioned that he wants to dump all over the dump truck. So we're gonna do a segment of our Rank and Retro where we are going to create a tier list for the Blast Corps vehicles because a big part of the enjoyment of this game is which vehicle you're controlling at any given level. So we're gonna have 3 main tiers here: top of the line, middle of the pack, or lemons for the worst vehicles. And then when we are done, we will declare which one is the best core and which one is the blast corpse. So you guys can see my tier list, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start off with Ramdozer the Bulldozer. If I can start first, to me, this is clearly a middle of the pack selection because it was easy to control, very straightforward. You just ram through buildings. I think what keeps it from being top of the line for me is all those puzzles where you have to push the TNT crates and you have to get them to where you're going before the TNT crate blows up. Those were annoying. So didn't love it, didn't hate it. Ramdozer, middle of the pack in my book. What do you guys think?
I mean, really, I feel like your problem there is crates.
Okay, fair.
I'm not sure I would hold that. Uh, I'm not sure to
Against
what extent.
Ramdozer?
Yeah,
So are you fighting for top of the line?
I'm almost tempted. Like it was one that I enjoyed until I saw those boxes.
Yeah. Okay, so Nate, you'll be the decider. Where are you putting Ramdozer?
You know what? We're talking about the entire fleet, right?
Yeah, we're gonna compare them all to each other.
You know, I feel Ramdozer's like a little higher up than some of the
Oh,
other vehicles. You know, like
okay.
I thought it wasn't too slow. The crates physics were a bit rough, you know.
Yeah.
But I did like the Ram Dozer. There was not a whole lot to it, you know, but it was serviceable. It was a serviceable vehicle.
Okay. So in my mind though, you would never call a serviceable vehicle a top of the line vehicle. It would be a middle of the pack vehicle.
Yeah, I guess there's something in that, but I'm trying to think of things that I would put above it, and I still feel, you know what? All right, middle of the pack. Yeah, yeah, middle
Nice.
of the pack.
Yeah.
It's very but it's like the vehicle you get first, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it definitely is like the one you get accustomed. The controls are the most intuitive. There's no real secret mechanic to it. You know, it's smooth. If it was slower, I would hate it. But it was a good speed, you know. Yeah, it was a fun one.
I think it's like a good meat and potatoes starting point.
Yeah.
So Ballista, the missile toting motorcycle. I'm also gonna make a case for middle of the pack. The missiles feels really good to just pepper a building with missiles and it's blowing up in all different directions. But I just feel like the Ballista motorcycle kind of handles really finicky. It kind of bounces off things really easily, and it had some of my most frustrating moments trying to 100% the game because they love to put like they mentioned, there's like this shipyard, and so if you want to blow up all the buildings, technically the big ship counts, but no vehicle can touch it. It's out in the water, so you have to drive up to the shore and shoot your missiles at it, but you can't free aim. So that was kind of frustrating. Mike, what do you think about Ballista?
I was gonna go lemon at highest. I hated that thing.
You hated that thing.
I
Yeah, was
agree.
it? Oh, okay, okay. No love for the ballista.
Because all it has is those missiles, and those missiles are just frustrating. The fact that they alternate which side you fire from is incredibly annoying. Bounces around a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna make a I'm not
Yeah.
gonna die on the hill for that thing. It's not the greatest.
No, I agree. It was not good. Like you would hit something tiny and it would stop you in your tracks. You really had to spend a lot of time the positioning of the ballista to get the rockets to hit the right places, and it would be like minuscule. You know, like you'd be a small pitch up or down, and it would change where it's going. So like even restarting levels over and over again with the ballista to try and get it to hit the target that I wanted to, I'm like, I'm in the same place I was before, you know. So it was just frustrating to use. Every time I had to use it, I'd be like, ah,
It'd almost be better if the missiles locked onto things and you could just focus on driving the vehicle and not having to aim it
for
manually.
sure.
Or if you knew, if it had a target and think of this is where it's gonna hit.
Yeah, crosshair.
It's frustrating too. Like you're shooting over a destroyable target, right? Going over it for no reason.
Yeah.
Like if it locked in a little bit, yeah, it would be fine. You know, if it was getting close to a target that could be destroyable, that'd be great. Because again, the more frustrating part of it is using it in the time trial stuff. In the open world, like the ballista, you're really only using it to like unlock secret areas or blowing up something to get to something else. Like you're rarely choosing the ballista to like blow up buildings. You know, there's other vehicles that do it better. So in the levels where you have to use it and you're stuck for time, right? Because that's a big thing. It's just an inefficient, hard to use vehicle for that.
Yeah, you just reminded me that one of the secret levels you unlock because there's these tiny little wooden doors, and they don't appear anywhere else in the game. And you can see one kind of down in this ditch, and so you have to position the ballista up above the ditch and shoot your missile so it hits the door. It's wild and really annoying, but felt like a cool. Like I felt proud of myself for figuring that out.
Yeah.
So the backlash dump truck apparently caused over 5 months of arguments because the lead developer was adamant that once you get the hang of the dump truck, it's worth it. And all the other devs were like, this is not fun. And he stuck to his guns. Nate, where are you putting the backlash dump truck?
Last corpse at the
Oh, you
bottom.
hate it?
I hated the dump truck, and I want to know what that lead developer ended up. You know, what games did he go on to make? Because I'm sure, like it seemed cool, but the difficult. And I tried. I put work into it to get this to you know, because you really need to use it in like some of the end game stuff, and I just couldn't get the tail whip. I mean, that's the whole thing is like the whole mechanic is you hit the brakes and you kind of drift out and tail whip, and then once you hit it right, you're destroying stuff like left and right. And there's a tutorial level, but like, man, I could not get it down. I just couldn't. And then I, watched a video of a guy being like, look, if you can't get it down, just drive into something at an angle, and then you kind of bounce off the wall and it will start to destroy stuff. And so I started doing that, and I was like, oh, this is easier, but I'm not doing it as intended, So no, I hated this. This was the bane of the game for me.
And it's the most common vehicle. It's like it gets like 20 levels. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And I also discovered through a YouTube watch because I got stuck on that damn train level you're talking about. And the train level is especially infuriating because like he said, you have to destroy a building. You have to destroy a train yard, essentially. So imagine a train yard, right? The train goes into a building, but you have to destroy the left side of the building and the right side of the building independent of each other. And your dump truck can destroy an entire building, cannot cross the train tracks. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why those train tracks have some kind of invisible wall, but it's just everything I hated about the dump truck. And so then I also discovered, yeah, you just nudge the corner of a building with the front of your car, the dump truck disintegrates it. But now that's bad for theming. I'm not even having fun. It feels stupid.
Yeah, that feels like a glitch, that you're exploiting something that like they didn't intend for.
Right.
Yeah, I was doing the similar sort of thing on stuff where I had to use that was having been told that basically if you hit something with where all wheels are not on the ground, it will just treat that as destroy this 100% on contact.
Yeah.
And so I was relying on that because I could not get that to control in any way. And one of the most frustrating things about this is because I mean, this is meant to be like this giant heavy dump truck.
Yeah.
And I would hit like a corrugated fence in front of a building and stop. And I'm just like, that vehicle may most typify. There's one other thing that will come up on this, but that just as a vehicle on its own, that may most typify like this vehicle doesn't feel like it has any sense of weight to it. It stops on things that it should destroy. And it's this weird thing where it's like, oh, if it hits with the back, it'll destroy a whole building. But if it hits with the front, it does no damage and comes to a stop, even if it's a fence. I'm like, this should feel more consistent. Like it would be one thing if it's like it will destroy all the small stuff, and it's just the big stuff that is harder, and you need to be more efficient at it. But I'm like, this does not really make sense, and it handles atrociously.
Yeah.
And it's slow. So it's hard to get the speed up to do the tail whip in most places because you have to do it a lot.
And if you go on to like grass, it just drops to a speed that can't do any damage. And it's like, I feel like it should be able to handle that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just plowed through a football stadium, but like grass. But the grass part, for some reason, that's the resistance. And yeah, I'm with you guys. I was gonna say like, let's decide Blast Corps last. So let's leave that at the bottom tier and see if anything else, competes with it. Moving on to Skyfall, the steel bottom buggy. I'm gonna make a suggestion for middle of the pack. This is the little buggy where you have to jump off of ramps and land on top of targets because the bottom of the vehicle has a big steel shield on it. I never really was infuriated by it. I think its boost that you use to get big air that runs out way too fast. Like you have like a half a second of boost, and I wish you could get. I wish for this vehicle the sense of speed felt a little better. So don't love it, don't hate it. Middle of the pack. Nate, what do you think? Skyfall?
Yeah, this is where it was pretty easy to figure out the mechanics of it. And it was funny because it needs some kind of jump, like some kind of ravine to like actually be useful. So it was very funny to see how like shoehorned in some of the setups were for it, like
Yeah.
you could tell when they wanted you to use it because the thing was there was like a ravine there or something that you could use for a jump. So it was like, all right, I know they want me to use this vehicle to do this thing. So it was pretty easy to use, but like, as far as middle of the pack, it's like I think I liked the bulldozer a little better
Okay.
between the two, and that's why that's why I kept going back and forth is because, but I mean they could be on the same path, but as far as it's very middle of the pack for me. It was fine, but I never really chose it over anything else. Like I felt it didn't really have a lot of usability outside of those specific scenarios where it really wanted you to, the game wanted you to use that vehicle.
Yeah, you know what? I think retroactively you're right because like when I would play the bulldozer, I'd be like, okay, sweet, bulldozer. I know what to do with this. I know it's reliable. It's gonna get me to the end, and so I did enjoy it more than Skyfall. So, Mike, you okay with that retroactively moving Ram Dozer up to the top of the line and putting Skyfall in the middle?
I mean, I was proactively okay with putting it at the top of the line, so yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
But yeah, Skyfall, at least the boost was good for like, I'm stuck on something. I'm just going to keep hammering this boost until this building's gone.
Yeah. You talking Nate about how like the game would very obviously set you up to do the jump. Did you guys ever watch Chips? The show Chips, the motorcycle cops show?
For sure.
There would always be that point where like for some reason they'd be towing a ramp so they could jump off of it. And it's like I know that this is very Chips coded, the
Yeah,
ramps
yeah.
for Skyfall. Okay, so if I want to start with this one. I freaking hate Sidewinder. No, sorry, Sideswipe? Sideswipe. Sideswipe is the articulated arm vehicle where its whole thing is that at the touch of a button, these two little kind of rams or fists will go off the left and right side. But that's only useful in a very specific situation where you're going down like an alleyway and there's buildings on each side of you. But for some reason, the ability to punch out is locked to a collectible ammunition. You need to collect your punches, almost like they're malicious. Why did they do that? Am I alone here? That was annoying.
I figured that they're like pneumatic or something
Okay, so why does that have to be a collectible?
because you'd need more air to do it.
Well, don't you need more gas to drive your car? I don't know.
Don't give them
Yeah.
ideas.
Okay, so
I,
Mike, your
I,
sideswipe?
I mean, I'm still good with lemon because I think the thing that bothered me was when I realized that if I had stuff on both sides, but I was slightly too far to one side versus the other, it would only hit the close side, but it was most effective at like the maximum range for reasons that don't fully make sense to me. If it just punched through both sides every time, I'd be a lot more forgiving.
Nate, what are you thinking with sideswipe?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Skyfall was one of the most like shoehorned in like ability vehicles until like Sideswipe. I was like, this is silly. And you know, everything you guys said about it, you know, I agree with. It was so specific use case. And then yeah, like even the mechanic of it was kind of silly where I'd be right up on a building hammering it and it wouldn't be blowing the building out. So it's like you had to have a perfect, if you were too close, it wasn't as effective. You kind of had to be very much in between two buildings to really get it done. And rarely, you know, did that work. But yeah, and it's just it just seems so silly to me. I don't think I ever even used this on a level where I didn't have to, you know, because like certain levels, like you can grab different cars and do different things, you know. If it didn't make me use it, I wasn't using it because it was silly and it was less frustrating than backlash
Backlash, yeah,
Backlash.
the
backlash. It was less
truck.
frustrating than backlash.
Back brace.
Easier. I mean, it was as frustrating as the motorcycle. So
Okay.
yeah, lemon is good for me.
All right. So now we're getting to what I think are the good ones here. Thunder Fist. I like Thunder Fist. It's the first mech we're talking about. It has this attack where it rolls forward, and then if it hits something, it does like a Shoryuken, like dragon punch up to the sky and just clears out a whole skyscraper at once. I'm gonna actually argue the middle of the pack because one thing that frustrates me about it is that you can't roll indefinitely until you hit a target. Like, I wish I could hold down the button and Thunderfist would just keep rolling until it finds a building. Imagine if you played Sonic the Hedgehog and he stood up every 5 feet every time he was rolling, and you had to get down and roll again. That would drive you insane. It's the one thing that kind of ruined Thunderfist for me. Mike, what do you think about Thunderfist's placement?
Um, I'm kind of this or possibly top of the line. I think I feel good. The mechs, I feel like I didn't have quite as much playtime with, and frankly, I don't remember them as three, and so we'll resolve that hopefully in a moment. Um, and so like I think I definitely don't have problems with it. I think I was mostly good with this one.
Well, so you're good with it being middle of the pack, or you want to move it to top of the line?
I'm I think I'm kind of just fine with either of those. I'm not
Okay, so
too
we'll
picky.
let Nate decide.
Well, I you know I really like Thunderfist for me like and I don't know if Thunder Fist was on the box cover because I think it was the other, but like I for me this was one of the more fun vehicles to play. I think my favorite mech maybe, but I would put this at best core because
Okay.
I just had a great time with it. The rolling, yeah, it took me a while to figure out like the timing of like, all right, he's not going to be able to roll forever, so you have to get the roll down to get the uppercut done, to hit the building perfect. So it didn't take me too long to figure it out. And it was just a very satisfying when you were able to like hit it. It was pretty satisfying. So yeah, I mean, I liked this better than the gymnastics one because similar, you know, I think I could be wrong, but I feel like the mechanics were kind of similar, but like the animations were different.
Yeah. So this might be the one, Mike, you might not have gotten to this one. It might be exclusively in the hard levels. Little Cyclone, or Cyclone, excuse me, is another mech, and like Nate said, it rolls forward, but this one he's like somersaulting. And what's interesting about this one is that when he hits a building, he will go into the next move of his gymnastics routine. So first one's a cartwheel, then it's a flip, then it's like a tuck, and so you can kind of combo and keep moving, which is to me what I was missing with Thunderfist. So I think Cyclone might be top of the line. But Mike, you don't remember playing this one, right?
No, and after that description, I definitely don't.
Okay. So let's kind of leave them both at top of the line for now and move on to the last mech, which is
Yeah,
J-Bomb.
I'd put Cyclone on top of the line. It was fun, but it was very hard for me to like hit all those combos to like
Yeah.
get a full complete like, you know.
Get the gold.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Stick the landing.
Nate, tell me you love J-Bomb, the flying one.
J-Bomb was sick. Yeah.
Yes.
What's funny is I don't know, I don't remember in the game if they ever call it J-Bomb. I remember like looking it up, somebody being like J-Bomb, and I'm like, why is it called J-Bomb? But I would put it at best core as well because I really liked the verticality. Like it's the first thing that you do that you all of a sudden like you're seeing a bunch of different parts of the level, just flying over everything and dropping down. That it was just very satisfying as far as like destroying stuff. I was like, yes.
Yeah. And also really helpful in the second half of the game where you're looking for secrets because you take to the sky
For sure.
and the camera will show you, hey, look off in the distance. There's like the Easter Island statues. And you're like, okay. And then you fly off and now you're in this whole other area that you never would have found as the stupid dump truck. So yeah, I love everything about J-Bomb. Mike, you with us on this one? The flying mech is cool.
Yeah. And I think since the way you destroy with that is by just dropping down on stuff, it's also because shadows exist. It also felt like the only one that I really had an idea of what it was actually going to do in a way that possibly nothing else other than the bulldozer was the case of like, where is this actually going to hit stuff?
Yeah. I did there was only one time I had trouble with J-Bomb and it was like destroying a ship because you can't the ship is in the water and J-Bomb will hover over the water.
Yeah.
And so I had to like line it up where I had to drop J-Bomb right on the edge of the canal where the ship was to trigger the ship blowing up. So that was a bit frustrating doing that over and over again, but everything else I really liked about J-Bomb.
Same. So do we want to rank the non-destructive vehicles or we want to go on to who gets best core?
I'm good doing the other ones because I feel like I would like to complain about parts of other vehicles.
Let's do it. So let's talk about I lumped all the cars together. The race cars, the van, A-team van.
They have different speeds.
They do have different speeds, and the A-team van is the only one that can go off road without losing much speed. So it's like the clear favorite. I have notes on it. I was just saying the cars middle. They're fun, they're responsive, but only really the van handles uniquely. So I'd say middle of the pack for the cars.
Also, they don't destroy things, right?
They don't destroy things.
That's kind of like the thing here.
I mean, you can hit stuff with the car. It will do a minimal amount of damage, but it's not very effective. So Nate, you cool with the cars being middle of the pack?
You know what? I think honestly, for me, the cars are what like brought me into
Oh,
loving the game. Like I just love the the feel of driving the car. You could drift it out on the side. The race parts were great with the cars. I loved the cars. That's what really sold me on the game is like and all the cars felt different in driving them too, like I'm trying to remember which car I like the best. It might be the Starsky and Hutch car because I don't know. I don't think it was the fastest car, but it just felt fun. It was just a fun thing to drive around in, you know? So yeah, I liked them a lot.
And the horns are a neat little added touch,
Yeah.
turning on your siren as the police car. Like, come on, that's fun.
Yeah, I wanted to play a whole game of like just more cars, you know, like different like kind of weird tracks to drive around in, and like I was looking for like jumps for the cars and things like that because there are, you know, like certain things you hit and you get like some air, and some of the races were pretty silly, you know, you're kind of driving all over the place. But yeah, I was like, man, they should make a game like this, and then I'm like, wait, I'm playing that game.
Well, I think Mike and I overrule you though with our 2 votes from middle of the pack.
Sure.
Crane, lemon. I freaking the cranes, lemon guys.
I
Yeah,
would say Blast Corpse. The crane was a pain in the A.
the controls on that were remarkably difficult for being a freaking crane.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold this entirely on the crane that getting a vehicle onto the crane platform was obnoxious.
Yes.
It could have been more obnoxious, but that should be an easy process. If I'm going to have to move vehicles with other vehicles, like make that work.
And like it's difficult to tell where the crane is going to place something. There's no like shadow helping you. And then, a puzzle in the game, you have to put a TNT crate on the crane and then you have to lower the TNT crate onto something to blow it up. But you've never done that before in the game and you never do it again. So, yeah, not a
And
fan of the
you have to drop it on that bridge in a very specific, perfect spot to
in the
blow
middle.
up like a bunch of them. Because if you do it wrong, then you have to do it again. And so, like, I probably would have done like the switch saves spot on that
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I did that so many times, pulling my hair out, being like, I just did it in the same spot. How come it didn't blow up the whole bridge this time? You know, like it was all these segmented blocks, right? And if you hit it kind of in between two, it kind of cascaded and took all of them out. But man, that was so frustrating, that crane thing.
There was not great moments. I like the trains and the ferries. It's single button gameplay. You just press to go forward or backward. I don't think it's top of the line because a lot of we're going to get to the Joy Cons in a minute, but a lot of bad collision detection. Like you would park the train and see that there is clearly enough room for your car to get off the ramp and off the vehicle, but nope, because you didn't stop when the little guy's face appears.
That was
So,
hilarious. That's so funny
yeah,
that they had to add that in.
which I guess is you. That's you, right? You're
Yeah,
the driver.
yeah, I guess. But it's like, yeah, he'd smile and be like, "Yay!"
Does the rest of the train count as the evaluation of the train, or are we just evaluating the engine?
I think you got to take the whole kit and caboodle. I don't think you
Lemon.
can segment. Mike doesn't like the trains because of the end of the train. You have to put stuff on it.
There's one of the levels that you start off, and as a level design, this annoys the heck out of me because this is done purely to be obnoxious. You have to get the bulldozer onto the train and then go someplace and then get the bulldozer off and then do the level. It's not like a connection of do stuff here, go over there, do other stuff. Like you could just start me where I needed to go, but we don't do that. And the number of times that just like I would line up the bulldozer perfectly and I couldn't get out of it because it wasn't lined up right. And then I have to be like slightly crooked and sticking off the car. And then it's, oh, now it's aligned. I'm like, I don't know how that counts as aligned. I don't know how, like, however you're valuing this, like, I can visually see this is entirely on the train right now. When it works, it's not. That is not how that should work.
Yeah, it's janky. I one of my core memories. I don't know if you guys have those weird memories from your childhood that you just hold on to forever, and you're like, why is this in my brain? My dad is a train enthusiast, and so I remember playing this game as a little kid, and oh my God, I'm in charge of the train. I'm playing the train. I can blow the horn. So I called my dad in from doing the taxes. I'm like, look, Dad, and I remember him stood there, and he went, "Is that it?" Like totally, totally deflated me because like in my mind it was the coolest things. I'm
You're like,
gonna
we're
say middle.
connecting. We're connecting on your interests.
I
Now I get
tried.
what you
I
like.
failed.
Very deflating.
So I say middle of the pack. Mike say lemon. Nate, final deciding vote. What do you think for the trains and the ferries?
I'm gonna go with Mike. I mean, I feel like, and I'm gonna agree with your dad because when you
Don't do
get in
that.
the train, you're like, oh, that's it.
It's so
Because it's like
fun.
It puts it in the level, and you're like, you put the truck on it, you drive it, and then you take it off. And you're like, wait, that's it? The only time I liked the train is like there was a hidden train under underground tunnel that you
Yeah.
got in, and you couldn't even see it. You couldn't even see
No.
the train was there. So it's like you got in it, and then you started heading forward, and then you can see the screen moving, and then there was like a gap. You're like, oh, I'm in a train now. Like so that was kind of interesting as far as like a gameplay element, but generally the trains and I'll say the boats by extension were lemon.
I liked the boats more because they had a larger platform, so I wasn't getting stuck in this thing of like, or watching the bulldozer bounce around. And I'm like, I'm not touching any buttons anymore. And it's bouncing off the parts of the train. I'm like, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Like I said, janky
Yeah.
for sure.
Which I'm not putting on the bulldozer, I'm putting on the train because that was a train thing. But I'm just like, this is such a key bit of like, if this goes badly, you don't have the time to do stuff later.
Right.
Like that, you can't start off with this really rough thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make a good first impression. What about our little guy on foot? I think he's 11. I think he moves real slow. He's totally undetailed. And there were so many moments I would get out of my vehicle and try to run around the vehicle, end up back in the vehicle. Like two or three
All the
times.
time.
Like, dude.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
So lemon for the little guy.
You know what? I want to give him a little. I like the concept of being able to get out as a little guy. I just thought that was really cool.
And unique for games at this time.
Yeah. You're not just like driving up to like another vehicle and then you switch to the other vehicle. You actually have to get out and move. But yeah, I mean the mechanic was really tough where like you get out and you're like, all right, I need to go left. So then you hit left, and then some reason because the way the camera's angled, you kind of go right back into the vehicle you just got out of, and you're like, why are you doing
I
this?
feel like he gets out on weird parts of the vehicle as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the door.
Yeah. Like if it just was always the door, I'd be like, I know what's happening. It was like, that's not how I expected this to go. But
Yeah.
I do remember being as a little kid being like, "Oh my God, that's the guy. That's the guy driving the car. He look how little, like that was
Yeah.
kind of neat."
It was cool.
Let's leave him at middle because I don't think there's any chance he's going to get the lowest rating. Are we okay then for our final rankings here? Dump truck is the blast corpse. That is the worst vehicle in the game.
yeah, that's where Backdraft deserves to be.
Yeah, for me, there's no doubt in my
Backlash.
list. I remember like being like, all right, this is the one I hate the most.
And so then, how about J-Bomb for best core? I think it has all the good stuff with mechs, but also you get the added verticality, you get the exploration, you get everything with J-Bomb.
Yeah, I think J-Bomb is like the Iron Man of the mechs. He's on the cover. The whole game play and the mechanics really open up with playing that one. A lot of the other ones, again, the other two mechs are very similar, but just have different mechanics. Or I mean different animations, but the mechanics are kind of similar. So I think J-Bomb is the most unique and the most fun.
Mike, you cool with this?
I'm good with that, even though I think you're biased.
Yeah, can you call me J-Bomb, Mike, from now
No,
on?
J-Bomb.
Well, that concludes our ranking retro segment for the Blast Core vehicles. And we'll put a link to this if you're listening and you want to make your own ranking list. I'll share the tier maker so you can make your own and post a screenshot to our Discord. That'll be fun. So, the Old Switcheroo official best core vehicle from Blast Core is J-Bomb, and the Blast Corpse, the worst one, is Backlash. Well, guys, we kind of touched on it already with, what we liked and didn't like about the vehicles. But there's other problems with the game. Nate already mentioned the frustration with the level select, and just trying to navigate this globe. Okay, first of all, is it just me? If the carrier's going in a straight line, shouldn't the level select be a straight line?
I didn't
Right?
thought that, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Like it's what?
Yeah.
Unless it's circling and going through water and just kind of apple coring this thing.
Yeah. It just has to go all over the place. It's on tour.
this may be the hardest level select I've ever played.
Right? Yeah, you have to move diagonally, but we were playing and the level select should not be challenging. I really wish there was a button to turn it into just a top to bottom list. Give me a list.
Yeah. Also, it was really hard too because when you were, or I mean, Jamo, you had said that, you only went for the professors afterwards, or the scientists. Were they
Yes, the
scientists,
scientists.
professors?
They call them scientists.
I was finding them as I was playing, and they tell you where to find the next one. They're like, we need to get the rest of the guys. You should look for him at this level. So then you're like, okay, now I have to find Argent Towers, right? So you're going through all of these in the map looking for the level that it is, which, it would be hard because they're not listed anyway, but because just navigating it is hard, it was so frustrating.
Discouraging. A level select. I think this is one of the, no, I feel like with Shadow Warrior or whatever that was, Doomsday Warrior. Anyway, yeah, level select should not be a pain. But Mike, have you heard about the mind-blowing Easter egg behind this level select?
No.
You're gonna love this. Game Explain, the YouTube channel Game Explain, discovered in 2013 that if you look in the background of the level select, because those who aren't watching on YouTube or never played the game, you're looking at the Earth and space is behind it. But if you watch, the orbit of various planets on the menu screen are exactly to scale, for lack of a better term, if you watch and time the menu closely. So I'm going to read this directly from a Game FAQ. If you watch the menu, it takes the Earth 1 minute to orbit the sun, which represents a year. And within that time, the moon revolves exactly 13 times around the Earth. With Mercury, it takes 14 seconds to revolve around the sun, which is equal to 88 days. Venus takes 37 seconds, which is equal to 225 days, so on and so forth. And like apparently even they had retrograde motion because you can go to these planets and see the perspective of our solar system from the moon and from the other planets. What's retrograde motion, Mike?
So retrograde motion, like if you plot out the position of, say, Jupiter as a function of time, it always kind of moves through the sky in a direction.
Okay.
Because you're seeing stuff projected against the stars, you're seeing how it appears to be moving with respect to background stars, but you can get into situations where planets are passing one another, and so things seem to move backwards, and it's sort of a perspective trick.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So on that, I know what you're talking about now. I've actually seen this. You'll be watching it, and like the planet will sort of kind of curve in a way that doesn't look natural, but you're saying it actually. So for those who don't know, Mike is in the business of observing celestial bodies, also into astronomy. That's stupid.
No, actually, you mentioned that. A thing that I can't believe I said, and I can't believe I was not asked to leave after. I went to a Halloween party dressed as my costume was the Hubble Space Telescope,
Yes.
and there was someone there, and she was wearing like a planet's necklace and stuff, and like I had already gotten there, and it was this thing where it's like for me to get in with like solar panels involved like sideways through doors and junk. So I kind of like found a corner to be like, I'm going to stand in this corner because I mean I'm going to stand in the corner at a party anyway, but this way this way it's also like not inconvenient to everybody because it's a
Yes.
post-doc apartment. It's not huge, and so when she got there, she had come over to me and it's like, yeah, so I'm the solar system, and since I heard that the Hubble Space Telescope was here, I figured I should come over. And I said, well, I'd apologize for staring, but it's kind of my job.
Dun dun.
Good.
And it's like, very out of character for me. And it was also like, that went over well, which was also a surprise.
Nice, nice. Mike, deepest Mike lore. Mike Riz. Think that we got that for the first time here.
That's a good move. Yeah.
But I thought that was cool, Mike, that they went through the trouble of programming the scientific accuracy of just the planets and the moon in the background.
Yeah, it's actually a fun side, or actually just maybe how they program it, because realistically that's happening because everything's moving on elliptical orbits at different speeds.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the like Earth is the center of everything, if you're observing planets through the sky and then they do that, that's a problem for it just is orbiting.
Yeah.
And so they just went, well, what if everything's on a small circle that's orbiting on a big circle, like it's like the teacups or something?
Right.
And actually, a lot of modern stuff still uses that because it's a much easier thing to just be like, what if you just make it be two circles than if you're trying to do stuff like the way it actually moves?
Which no one would understand but you.
Yeah.
So
I do like though that like somebody that's what they're contribution to this as a programmer was to put this in, but it's so not appreciated until like what 2013 and like a deep lore Easter egg, but like hopefully somebody out there playing this back then was like, oh, interesting. That's how it
Yeah.
really is. But then you have this other programmer that's like, no, Backlash is going to be a good vehicle, and it's like, no, we should have had the fucking astrological
Yeah.
programmer, maybe be doing something else because his talents were wasted on the menu screen.
Right. But what a good idea. And you're right, really bad ideas really took the wheel, as it were, when it came to this game. Well, so you guys already mentioned it through discussing like the ferries and the trains. I think for as ambitious as this game is, the collision detection is just bad at points. And you'll be like trying to push a TNT crate and it's bouncing off objects in a way that in no way represents actual physics. And for a physics-based puzzle game, that's a bummer. And then also I just found a lot of the little secret paths just really hard to find. Like I'm showing the boys here a picture of like a street from up above, and there's this tiny little opening that almost looks more like a glitch than an actual pathway. But nope, that's where you run your little guy down to get the bulldozer, and it's just like I don't like when I'm squinting at games.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with things being hard to find, but like I feel like visually hard to see, that feels worse.
Yeah. I think the collision stuff with the bulldozer is also now where I'm like, I feel like every actual bulldozer I've seen has stuff on the edges so that things being pushed don't just fly off to the side.
That's a good
Yeah,
point. I remember thinking, can I get a forklift? A forklift would be helpful with this
that'd be
puzzle.
fun.
Yeah, big old forklift.
Funny though on the screenshot too, seeing how like, low poly this was because, here you have very sharp 90-degree flat surfaces. So depending on the angle, some stuff disappears entirely, like these fences. Like if you're perpendicular to a fence, um, perpendicular parallel, perpendicular to the fence, it disappears. Like it's because it's a thin line on the screen. There's no depth to it, and then you have to turn the camera around a bit, and then you're like, oh, there's a fence there. So things like the ramps going down that your guy could walk down at certain angles, you don't see it at all. Some of the hidden rooms I only saw spinning the camera around, and all of a sudden this like one-dimensional plane is all of a sudden two-dimensional. I can see behind it. Oh, there's something down there, because like some of like the textures were just too similar.
Right. But it's all just fun bonus areas, so you kind of forgive it a little bit more. You're like, well, I already beat the main game, so I am a little okay with this being a little finicky because it doesn't feel like they had to put it in the game, but it's neat that they
That's
did.
when I play games though, it's always tough for areas that are too big with too much to explore because I'm the type that goes in and looks at all the stuff that no one's going to look at, trying to explore everywhere, open every drawer. So things like this, I was like, I really liked being able to like find things like this and explore them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Will say in that same sort of a vein, though, the camera angle stuff, especially during timed things, was incredibly frustrating for me.
100%.
And it's one of these deals where it's like, if you could control this camera better, like if it would do what it's supposed to do, that would be wonderful. And I think some of those are areas where like I would zoom it out and I was like, okay, this is the view I want. And then as I'm moving, it would be like I'm driving along and the camera just doing a pan and zoom back in. And I'm like, I put you where I wanted you. Stay there. So it moves around, but not in a way to be helpful.
Did you ever accidentally hit the button where it like went into that like it went back to the truck and it was like a weird perspective where like all of
Oh,
a sudden I'm like I don't know how to get back and I'm seeing it from yeah exactly. It does the overhead view of where you are in relation to the bomb truck and I'm like this isn't what I wanted. I don't know how to go to back. Where am I? I did that all the time.
I think I would have wanted that. I think I ended up with, or I remember having on a missile view. Actually, this is the other camera thing that apparently because it could do it, like this could have been super cool if it was better. Which is because I had levels where I'm like, I don't know what the heck where did I go wrong in clearing this path? And after you fail, like the background of the game of like the mission failed thing is the level you just played like playing through. And so you can watch it and see what you did. However, that camera is not controllable to my knowledge, and it just follows where you are. And I'm like, let me control the camera and this would be great. And I'm like, you've got to be able to do that because it's not like you recorded video, like you recorded movement. Let me point the camera where I want. Because if I could have just done that on some of them, just to be like, okay, I need to just see what's happening while this is happening. Like, let me look around to see from the perspective of this missile thing, like, what did I miss? And don't follow me fly off to the side and then crash into a wall. Like, I need to know the in front of the, like, let me look around this way.
Right. But it's super cool though, because like I'm showing them right now one of those replays, and like you are on the carrier seeing your vehicles in the distance destroying stuff. And like I agree, Mike, that's a great idea. It's almost like if they had committed to that and kept the camera there the whole time and found a way to let you control it, like that I thought that was really stunning. And it made parts where you can't control the camera that much more frustrating. I said that like if you ever been like a theme park dark ride and you want to take a look at the cool animatronics in the room, but the shoulder restraints are like holding you and keeping you from looking where you want to look, that's what the camera feels like in
The heck,
Blast Corps.
Dark Ride, are you going on that has shoulder restraints?
Say like Harry Potter, right? That has dark ride elements.
Space Mountain.
I guess
Space Mountain-esque, yeah, yeah.
that's.
Um,
I mean, actually, it is actually exactly kind of like what the standard Omni mover of like the Haunted Mansion is, where it just is like, no, we want you looking here. We're gonna turn, so that's where you're looking.
exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes like don't do that.
Any other Joy Cons to complain about before we render our verdict on Blast Corps? I think we kind of covered it.
I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed that, not completing those two levels, I don't get to see all this other stuff, but I guess that's like how it is, like from the easy to medium levels, all the lines on the map did convene on like one level, and you had to beat that one level, and then it opened up another stuff. So when I was at the end and I was like, man, I just can't get this done, I was like, it's only two levels. Now seeing like, oh, it's a lot more after that, I'm like, oh, so I'll have
Yeah.
to go back and put the time in. But
That
man,
level design should show where the levels are that you can't reach or something, just to give you an idea
yeah.
of how you're doing progression and where you're missing stuff.
Well, if you look at the circles on the level select, a red circle indicates that you found all the secret level beacons, and a green circle indicates that you have more to find.
Yeah, it'd be great if they communicated that in a clear way.
Yeah, a map key would be great. Like I didn't know what that was. There was a lot of times that like I didn't even know I had a level that I just couldn't get to it, like just through the map. Just was like, oh, I searching for a level that they told me to find a scientist at. I was like, oh, here's a level I haven't done yet, like a side race level, and I just didn't realize that. But yeah, as far as cons, I feel like we went over it. I mean, generally, it's a net positive for me. I really liked it. It's a fun game.
No, the General Lee is taken out of the game, remember? Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Making a comedian laugh. Okay, Mike, anything else to complain about, or should we wrap this one up?
I think I was just saying that same like it's one thing to be like there's more stuff to do on this level, but also just knowing where you are in game progression would like I it took me a lot just to figure out how close I was through this game to realize that like okay, I'm not beating this game and this is getting harder and there's a lot to go. But like that was very difficult to tell because this way of expanding the world map has no real sense. Like I thought I might have almost been done because they'd almost formed a nice shape that looked kind of like the badge thing that you get every so often. And I'm like, is that this like does this like form like a pentagram and then I've won? And it turns out no.
I also found that funny because there's so many rankings. Like rank up, now you're Master Destroyer. Rank
Yeah.
up, now you're an impeccable exploder. And I was like, is that better than Master Destroyer?
And what is that related to? Just the level progression or how much money? The money thing was also really funny to me. It's like, oh, all of these buildings have dollar amounts to them. Like,
The manual also mentions those levels and it's just it lists like 10 and it's like go find all the other ones. And it's like that's a lot of levels to be like, and there's a ton more.
More than 8.
You do.
More than 8.
Well, guys, that brings us to the moment of truth. We've covered the Joy Pros, the Joy Cons, and every bit in between. So it's time to declare the game from today's episode as a Nintendo or a NintenDon't. Nate, can we start with you, our esteemed guest? Would you recommend people play this game?
Yeah. I think it's if you've played it before, it's great to rediscover. If you've never played it, I think it holds up. The mechanics are still fun. I'm one of those people, I know your whole show is going back and playing these games. Is the Switch, what is it called? The store?
eShop? Well,
Or
we do
Nintendo Classics is what it
Yeah,
is.
Nintendo Classics. I'm not really a classics player. Um, and because I feel these games are really hard. This one I genuinely had fun with, and I was like, this is a game that's definitely worth revisiting and playing. So I would say Nintendo.
awesome. Would you say a Super Nintendo?
I would say a Super Nintendo 64 with the
Oh,
expansion
Nintendo
pack. No, I mean,
64.
yeah, I really liked it. I thought this was worth playing, definitely.
Awesome. Nintendo 64.
Nintendo Ultra 64.
All right, Mike, what's your verdict?
So I think there's been several where you've changed your stance by the end of the episode.
Uh-oh.
And I have fairly steadfastly not done that.
Correct. You usually know how you're feeling going in.
This may be the first one where information was brought to light over the course of this that I had not realized that is enough to get me to reevaluate things. Because I was probably at a NintenDon't on this because it was very frustrating.
But
This game is probably also a very good candidate for them to eventually bring the SP modes to the N64 again
please. Ugh.
to get to the let me see the junk that I wouldn't have otherwise seen.
Nate, do you even know what that is? The SP modes?
No.
Nintendo Classics has, if you go back to the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo, they have these versions of the game where it's essentially you're inheriting a save file of some kid who unlocked everything for you. So remember the feeling of renting something and being like, oh, they have all the cool bonus levels. Sweet.
Yes.
They do that for you. But for some reason, now that they've entered the area where that's really, or the era, excuse me, where that's really, really key, they have completely abandoned it, never revisited it. It can't cost them anything to make, and no one said it. You know what? Okay, that's it. That's it. Mike, I'm sick of this shit. Excuse me. Sorry for the language. I've been considering saying this for a while, but something about Nate vaping on there makes me want to say this. I will, Nintendo, if you go back and add the SP mode to these games, I will get an SP tattoo. Okay? I will get the SP logo tattooed to my body, and then this will finally go viral, Mike. Let's do it.
I mean, I feel like you undercut that when you say, and then this will go viral in the bit you think will go viral.
We'll cut that part out, Mike. You're the audio editor guy. Yeah.
I hope the one guy in charge of like adding SP to stuff is just like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
make this guy get this tattoo, this very niche thing
I
that only I'm responsible for.
I haven't
Out of-
discussed it with my wife. I'm feeling nervous already.
Anyway, so in this case, the thing that I do not feel was conveyed to me by this game was the if I go back to a level, the stuff that I'd already done to that level is still done, and the missiles are no longer there. And it kept I also expected if I went back, I would have to redo like driving past all the things and all those kinds of things. And it stores those. So I am at least flipping over to Nintendo on this because I haven't done the exploration, but that opened up the exploration in a way that was much less painful than I thought the game was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's night and day. The feeling of going back and exploring and destroying the other stuff. Like that's what Rare is at best, the collectathons, the Banjo-Kazooie, get all the little puzzle pieces. This game scratches that itch once you've gotten rid of that damn carrier.
I I love it because it's like you have the anxiety part of the game, which
Right.
Mike only experienced, right? And then without having to do much more, they still have the same level, all the same stuff is there, but you got to go back and get to do it at your own pace, and you're just blowing up buildings and stuff. So you kind of have like, um, it's funny saying it's like a calming thing, but like, after experiencing the anxiety of the first mission and then going back, it is like a cozy game, like it turns into like a cozy game.
Yeah, 100%. Well, love it or hate it, I say there's simply nothing else quite like Blast Core. It's ambitious, it's creative, it's sloppy, it's funny. It's just truly a rare game in every sense of the word. So while I recommend you play it on Switch 2, because by the time this episode comes out, Switch 2 will have been released. And the ability to rewind on N64 games would have been huge. It would have really helped you get around a lot of the frustration inherent in the janky programming. So I have to give this game a recommendation, especially since if you have a Switch 2, you can play it the best way ever, which is letting you rewind and not pull your hair out in frustration. So it's an enthusiastic Nintendo for me. And that we're gonna call that game over for today. The final score for Blast Core is a unanimous Nintendo. Nate, thank you so much for talking with us today. Before you get on out of here, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a blast to revisit this again. I don't think I would have gone back unless I had like, a purpose for it. So,
Yeah.
and even discovering this part of my Switch, I was like, oh, I had this and I never unlocked it. So, I'll have to go back and check out more things while I follow along with the podcast. But
Absolutely.
people can find us and my brother Sam, who I told about this, and he's unfortunately teaching right now.
What a loser.
But he was like, yeah, I remember that game. But he was psyched about it too. So you can find us Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on official WKUK on Twitch, watching movie trailers. And if you want to play along, you can submit to miseryloves.us. Some people play and they aren't able to even watch the show because of time zones or whatever. So we do have a bunch of them on YouTube as well on the Whitest Kids channel. We're about a season behind though, so we do about 26 episodes a season, I think. So yeah, you can check us out there as well.
And go compete with Mike and see if you can beat his high score and who can submit the coolest, funniest, wackiest, most noteworthy trailers. Love it, love it,
Or
love it.
alternatively, figure out which ones are my trailers and vote for them.
There you go. There you go. Well, that sounds excellent. Everyone join us next time when we will strive to see the bigger picture when we cover Clue Land for the NES and Picross for the Game Boy and Super
Ooh,
Nintendo.
Picross is great. I love that
Ah,
one.
okay. I mean, listen to that episode because I got some stuff to say about Picross. Everyone, don't forget to visit www.theoldswitcharoo.com. There you can find links to our Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and all the social medias you can shake a joystick at. You can even leave an old-timey voicemail, meaning we would literally love to hear from you. Or even better, join the fun on our Discord server where you can play games, talk games, and even make a friend or two. Big thanks to Crystal Fields for our incredible intro song, and thank you, dear listener, for liking, commenting, subscribing, reviewing, and playing along with us every step of the way. This has been the Old SwitchAroo, where we've been talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I've been Mike.
And I've been Jaymo. Game on, everyone.
The sibling video game stuff is always really funny. Like Sam and I are big fans of like English Premier League soccer, and a lot of it is because of FIFA 97 on the 64. Because like we didn't have soccer on TV, so we learned all the teams and the players through the video game. And we would have another friend come over, and he was just awful at it. And we would be like, it's early days of video gaming where like you could do one move and it was like gonna score 100% of the time if you got that set up. It was just you were learning like how the game was worked. And so this guy secretly went and bought the game and would practice at home until because we were just like talking so much shit, and he would get so angry that he like went and bought a 64 and the game just to play it to practice. So that was always really funny for us. Our house was the video game house where everyone came and played games.
I like to imagine that someone somewhere, their first introduction to basketball was NBA Jam, and they thought that was going to be amazing. And then they saw regular basketball and was just like, no one is on fire.
Yeah. There's no one heating up at all.